feels really informal. It's almost just because I'm not going to remember this. This video may never actually be seen.
Oh, really? Okay.
But maybe it will. So, okay, Dan, the LT50 is positioned as a competitor for the NCE Power Cab, which has been the go-to system as a starter system for the past several years. What advantages does the LT50 have that would make someone want it over the Power Cab?
Sure, yeah, you're exactly right. We are marketing the LT50 as a direct competitor to the NCE Power Cab. And some of the features that we have that are new or unique or whatever you like to say compared to the Power Cab start at the outside. So as you can see here, this throttle shares a lot of similarities to our UWT50, which is our wireless smaller throttle. It has the same knob, same buttons, same fascia, except it's a wired throttle, and it also has a built-in command station. With it being in the same sort of vein as the UWT50, you have the same large, easy-to-read screen, which is something that you wouldn't find on an NCE Power Cab, for example. In addition to the screen, you've got easy-to-read menus. You've also got other features such as Railcom, which is a new feature to a lot of Americans in particular. It's a feature that isn't available on other systems manufactured in the United States, and that is both the same in the the LT50 and the CS-105 command station. So this throttle is not just a throttle, it's a command station, just like the Power Cab. And this throttle and command station has all of the features of the CS-105 and the UWT50 combined into one easy-to-hold, easy-to-handle package.
So the LT50 as a command station is also able to be a LCC master station?
That's correct, yes. So the fascia panel also has the same LCC connectors, which is a Cat5 style, 8 conductors. So you can use the LT50 with other LCC devices like signal systems and such, without any other translators or whatever you would call them. You don't have to run it with JMRI necessarily, and things of that nature, in order to run a signal system. And that is a big advantage of the LT50 and the CS-105.
Okay, one of the big things that seems to be getting a lot of chatter on forums and whatnot about the TCS systems is consisting.
Yes.
Because it sounds like there's going to be a new way to consist locomotives.
Yes.
So do the LT50 and the CS-105 share the same system?
Yes, they do.
And can you explain that?
Of course. So the consisting system in the LT50 and CS-105 is the same, as you mentioned, and it's very similar in nature to what some users of the UWT100 are already familiar with. So in the UWT100 we have what's called in-throttle consisting, which creates a summation of its members. As you add a member, it becomes part of the consist, but it's not actually modifying those members in the sense of CV19, 21, 22. They each become their own member, and they are a sum of their parts. With the CS-105, that's taken a step further, where not only do you have the option to have multiple members, you have the option to select what functions are available in the consist versus what's available in the individual locomotive on a per loco, per function basis from 0 all the way up to 28. So unlike advanced consist, as NCE calls it, or any other CV19 based consist, you have all the control up to function 28. So with traditional DCC and function 20 or CV21 and CV22, you're limited to 0 through 12. With the CS-105, that's not the case, and also with the LT50. So in addition, there's another step to that, which is the ease of creating and disbanding and reforming consists. Consisting is a system, or consisting is a very difficult concept to grasp for a lot of, especially new modelers, and even people who are like myself and have lots of experience with it, it can be very challenging. So one of the goals of our command system has been to make consisting simple. So let's take, for example, an ABBA set or an AAA even. So I can create a consist of those members. I can very easily add them, remove them, run them individually, run them as an AB and an AB or BA or whatever. And when I make modifications to my consist settings, those settings will follow that locomotive as long as it stays within our system. So as long as you're running a locomotive on our command station that you've configured, you can make and break consists with that unit, and whatever settings you've set up, follow it, and will either be turned off when the unit is running solo, or turned back on immediately without having to do any other configuration other than adding it to a consist.
So the consist is being stored in the command station.
That's correct. In the case of the LT50 and the CS-105, that command station is managing your consist.
Okay, I turn the power off. I turn the power back on. Is the consist still there?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that's definitely an improvement on command station consist for whatever. And so that means that any of the throttles connected to the 105, for instance, can control any of the consists.
That's correct, and they can do so simultaneously.
And okay, so how do you handle contention?
So contention is, and I suppose you could call it an issue and a non-issue at the same time. With this ecosystem and just LCC in general, it's a real-time operating system. So I can pick up a Digitrax throttle that's connected, I can pick up an NCE throttle, I can pick up a UWT 100 or 50, anything. Anything that is connected to the LCC network as a whole, they will all update each other in real time. This is an advantage over some other systems where if you call up an address, it has no knowledge of the function status, the speed, if it's in a consist, all that sort of stuff. Whereas with this system, that information is shared with everyone all of the time. So you will have contention, but you won't have the same contention of an operator on a Digitrax, for example, stealing your locomotive, because it's never really stolen, it's just simultaneously controlled. An advantage you have to this, all right, an advantage is, let's say I'm a dispatcher at a club, and Joe Decoder is over on the side of the layout about to ram my 30-car consist into a staging yard. If I know that, or I see that, I can, as a dispatcher, select that engine, kill it instantly, either through the e-stop or brakes, or just setting the speed to 0. All that sort of control is instantly available to everyone, and that includes just individual locomotives, consists, anything.
Okay, because one of the not uncommon cries you hear at clubs and whatnot is, who's got my train? That sounds like this is going to be still potentially happening.
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
We have considered this. We haven't come up with an effective implementation for it on how to solve that problem, because that is, a lot of people would agree, myself included, that is a problem. You don't necessarily want to have somebody else controlling your locomotive. But how that remains to be, or how that will be implemented remains to be seen.
Okay, so I think we pretty much covered the LT50. CS-105 shows the stuff that will surprise us.
Okay, you might want to bring your camera over here because there's something I'd like to show you. Okay, so over here at the CS-105, I can do a demonstration for you of how this real-time operating system works. In this command station, you'll see that I have some other connections that are made here, both in the front and the back. Coming out of the back, I have this LCC cable that's going into a LCC to LocoNet gateway device available from RR Circuits. And to it is connected a DT402R radio Digitrax throttle. It's connected in by the wire for now. What you can do with this system is I can make an update on the UWT 100, for example, and in the same time, that will make live updates on the Digitrax throttle. I can also reverse that and make a change on the Digitrax throttle, and you'll see that the UWT 100 updates as well. That applies not just for speed, but for functions information as well.
Okay,
At the same time, I also have this NCE throttle here, where I can select the same locomotive, 4605, and those functions and speed information will update in every place simultaneously.
I noticed that the UWT100 and the 402R are not using the same speed scale.
That's correct, yes. That's an interesting little, shall we say, novelty of Digitrax, where the DT402 and other Digitrax throttles work in a 100 speed step scale, whereas, for example, this NCE Pro Cab and UWT100 work in a 128 speed step scale, so 0 to 126. The LocoNet / LCC, side of things will handle that translation, just as it would be if you were to use any 126-point throttle to operate with a Digitrax command station.
Okay, so the other device over here, the turnout controller for
Yes.
DCC Specialties, is that just on a DCC bus, or?
This is actually available from Bachmann. This device, there's a couple different versions of this available from Bachmann. It is a turnout control decoder. This is a trackside version, which is similar to some that have been available from Bachmann for some time. It includes a DCC decoder from TCS, which we've been supplying to them for some time. And it's available either as just a push-button decoder or solenoid thrower, or it's also available as a DCC accessory decoder, depending on how you set it up. But this is a DCC compatible device. And simply put, I can push this button and it will throw the switch. And it's not currently in accessory mode, but in Bachmann mode, if I select address 9, I can then wait for my train to get out of the way and press function button number 3, which is the default setting for these, and it will throw the switch back and forth. There's another version of this device which looks like a switch house shed or a signal shed or something like that. It's basically just an aluminum box with a stack on the top, and that functions in the same way. So you can see here I can press this on my throttle. If this were set in accessory mode, I could open the accessory mode here and throw that DCC accessory as well.
So what's the big black cable coming out of the back?
This is the power. So our power supply over there, this is a 5 amp system. So we picked a power supply that was going to be compatible with it. The supplier supplies it with this cable. We have an adapter for it. That won't be like that in final production, I promise. The manufacturer supplies it with the barrel connector that you would expect to see on most systems.
Some sort of DIN plug?
Yes,
So
that's correct.
So you will have to use a TCS power supply with the CS-105?
Yes.
Okay.
The best way we'll be able to do that, yes. Obviously, if you plug something else into it, we don't guarantee the performance at all. So
Okay. So tell me about boosters.
boosters. Our intention is to supply 2 boosters with the system, or with the ecosystem, not with the system. We're going to be definitely providing a 5 amp booster, which is the B105. And the second booster is going to either be a 7 amp or 10 amp. We're still working out some details of the hardware to be able to support up to 10 amps. Well, technically more than 10 amps, comfortably, without any sort of issues. So those will be coming around at roughly the same time as the system. The B105 will definitely be available at the launch, and then we're hoping to also have the higher amperage booster available at the same time.
And those will also be restricted to using TCS power supplies.
That's correct.
And what voltage are they operating, or is it switchable?
Currently, the system operates at a nominal 15 volts, and that's determined by the power supply that's plugged into it.
So will you be providing like heavier duty power supplies for O-scale or LGB type equipment, or lower
That's the
power
objective.
for
Yes.
Z?
Yes. Since it is based on the power supply, a different power supply for a lower voltage is what we will be doing.
Okay. What have I forgotten to ask? Other than when?
When? So, when will these be available? The target is August of this year for the entire system, everything that we've demoed here that isn't already available. So that the UWT50s, which actually this is important, The UWT-50s will be shipping within the next couple weeks. The plastics have been finalized and will be shipped to us in the near future. We're talking a week or two from today's date. And then from there, they will go to our print house to have the fancy dots and all that, our labeling put on it, logos. And then after that, we go to final assembly and packaging and shipping.
All right. I'm going to cancel record because this thing is flashing a red and my battery is dead at me.